I guess you're here because you think podcasts are a good way to learn English. Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. You might even think they are the best way to learn. Well, I see your point, but I'm not sure everyone would think so. Maybe we can agree to disagree. That's the language we'll look at today.
Welcome to another Happy English podcast coming to you from New York City. And here's your English teacher, Michael.
All right, thank you, John, and thanks, everyone. It's Michael here from Happy English, and I help people speak English better. And this is Happy English Podcast, episode 926, How to Agree and Disagree Politely in English. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about something that happens all the time in conversations, agreeing and disagreeing. But it's not just saying yes or no. We're going to look at how to do this politely, whether you're in a meeting, having a group chat, or just talking with a friend. Why is this important? Well, in English, especially American English, how you say something is just as important as what you say. Being too direct can sometimes sound rude, even if you don't mean it that way. But when you know how to soften your words, you can express your opinion clearly without sounding too strong or negative. All right, let's jump in. Let's start with agreeing. Now, agreeing is usually easier than disagreeing, right? But let's go beyond just yes or I agree. Like how to agree politely without sounding like a textbook. Here are a few phrases you can use. The first one is, I see what you mean. Like this. Oh, I don't think we should take the highway at this time. It's always backed up on Fridays. Yeah, I see what you mean. Maybe we can try the back roads instead. Or we have, that's a good point. Like, if we go hiking early, we'll avoid the heat and crowds. That's a good point. Let's leave around 7 a.m. then. Or you can agree like this. I think we should try a new restaurant this weekend. Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. Maybe that new Italian place. Simple, right? But it feels more friendly than just, I agree. Now, here's where things can get tricky. Disagreeing. A lot of English learners feel nervous about saying no. But guess what? You can disagree politely. And here are a few ways to do that. I see your point, but... Like your coworker says, we should all start work at 8 a.m. to be more productive. You could say, I see your point, but I'm not sure everyone's at their best that early. Or, that's an interesting idea. What if we tried something else? See, you're not saying, no, that's a bad idea. You're offering a softer way to disagree and still sound like a nice person. And sometimes you agree a little, but not totally. That's when you can say things like this. I get what you're saying, but... Like if your friend says, it might rain, so I think we should cancel the picnic. You can say, I get what you're saying, but the forecast says it'll clear up by noon. Maybe we can just go later. When you say, I get what you're saying, but you're not totally disagreeing, but you are offering an alternate suggestion. Here's another way to do that. Like if someone says, I think social media is bad for your mental health. You could reply with, I agree with you to a point, but I think it depends on how you use it. I agree with you to a point. Like, I agree with you, but not totally. Here's one more. If your classmate says, online classes are just as good for learning as in-person classes, you could say, that's true, but I think in-person lessons are better for speaking practice. Now, let's talk about how native speakers actually sound when they agree or disagree, especially when they want to be polite or keep the conversation smooth. First of all, we don't always give a strong yes or no. A lot of the time, we soften our language, and that's called hedging. We use little words like maybe, kind of, or a little bit. Like, instead of saying, I disagree, you might hear someone say, I kinda disagree. Or, that might be true, but. It just sounds more gentle, more flexible. Another trick we use is asking a question instead of just saying no. Let's say someone gives their opinion and you're not sure if you agree. You could say, really? Oh, I thought the opposite. Or, oh, yeah? Why do you think that? See how that invites more conversation instead of just shutting the other person down with a no. And finally, when we disagree or hear something new, we often show curiosity. You might hear someone say, interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way. Or, that's a new perspective for me. These kinds of responses show that you're open even if you totally don't agree. And one last tip. If you want to sound more natural, listen to how people agree or disagree in English language TV shows or podcasts. Notice how they say it. It's not about big words, it's all about tone and style. Okay, I hope you found these phrases useful today, and you'll find some way to incorporate them in your English conversations this week. And hey, if you want to practice this kind of English with me and a group of other awesome learners, come check out my Podcast Learners Study Group. We meet once a week and practice the language from these podcast lessons together. It's a great way to build confidence and improve your speaking. Just check the link where you're listening to this podcast right now, or visit myhappyenglish.com and choose podcast episode 926 for more info. Hey, thanks for listening. And remember, learning another language is not easy, but it's not impossible. And I'm here to help you on your journey.
This podcast was brought to you by Happy English. Please visit myhappyenglish.com. Show your support for Happy English by leaving us a review. Get English, get happy, Happy English.